Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are here to bring you another interesting and intriguing and knowledgeable show about detoxification. This one is called Detoxify to Live, because we at Green Wisdom Health want you to live and be the best that you can be. And a lot of times that includes pulling off ugly little toxins that come into our body. And with this time of the year, spring cleaning, we think it's a great idea to spring clean your body. So Dr. Lewis is going to tell you a little bit about why you need to detoxify, what are some of the symptoms of needing to detoxify, and then we're going to answer you guys' questions towards the end of the show. So get ready, put your seatbelt on, he's ready to roll.
Yeah, the only time I ever talk fast is during this podcast. Symptoms of thinking or knowing that you need to detoxify. Any symptom you have. Does that clue you in?
What do you mean? Like any time you have any kind of bad symptom, you need to be
pretty
detoxified.
Much. You know, I think if you boil it down, it's either too many toxins, not enough nutrients, or both. And I think it's always both. You know, we've kind of blended them together. We talk about detoxification and headaches and allergies. Well, they kind of all intermingle, kind of the same thing, same difference. What I'm saying is symptoms can manifest themselves in many, many different ways, and yet it be the same underlying cause. And so many different times, the cause may be 10, 20, 30 years prior to you having a problem. So again, I'm going to talk about a whole lot. And Amanda said she thought I was cute because I was trying not to go down rabbit trails. And she said, you just can't help yourself. It's like, yeah, you're right. And then we just had a call from a guy that asked my sister how old I was. It's like, well, I feel about 30. So there you go. It takes a lot of work to pull that off. So, and that's one reason I feel good is because I take enough stuff every day that my body can detoxify.
And you notice he's not going to tell you how old he is.
I'm 60.
Good job.
I'm 63.
I think it's like a woman. Just go around the question.
Well, I'm 39 and change. I'm 63. But I do feel 30 something most of the time. It takes a little bit of work to pull that off. And Janet's much younger than me, literally, and she says many times, "You're way too young for me." I said, "Well, I ain't getting anybody younger than you because the music sucks when it gets into that era." She's shaking her head. Sorry, folks. How do you know if you need to detoxify? Well, if you have diarrhea, your body's trying to detoxify from something. If you're constipated, you need to detoxify. If you got a belly full of yeast, you need to detoxify. If you got a mouth full of mercury, and that was a question once upon a time about mercury fillings. Some dentists agree, some don't, but I think that's one small part of a bigger picture. The mercury, coal-fired power plants, release mercury into the air. How do you know? I mean, sniffles, snot, sneezes, and we had a show similar to that effect. If you're tired, if you're depressed, if
constipated,
if you have hormone imbalances,
stinky gas.
Golly, man, I'm gonna give her the stink eye on that one. And that's why she gives me different types of digestive enzymes, and she gives me something called Sibzymes. That's the answer I was trying to think of the other day, Maggie, is Sibzymes, because that will keep much of the inflammation down just in case we do eat something that creates that histamine or inflammatory effect. So that's for Maggie up in Kansas. And I think Janet does it to protect herself from stinky gas. So that's why I got the stink eye on that.
Being in toxic chemicals, actually.
Yeah, I looked at a lab the other day and talked to the mother. I think the young man's 11 or something like that. I said, "Good Lord, did he get in a bunch of chemicals?" And she says, "Oh yeah, he pulled over a beaker of some kind of weird chemical and said he ingested a lot of it when he was 2 years old." Well, I think he's 11 now and he's having a lot of problems. So we're going to rev up his detoxification pathways.
Well, and common household cleaners also do it, like which I love. I'm not picking on anybody, but because Clorox stuff does the best job as far as bleaching out things, but getting that on your skin, you better be detoxifying.
Or just smelling it. You don't even have to smell it for it to get in there. And chlorine's one of the biggest things that mess up your thyroid. If you're drinking water without it being filtered, you're getting the fluoride in it. That's messing up your thyroid. If you're eating any white flour because it's has bromine in it, you're messing up your thyroid, amongst other things. The problem is you can't really avoid these, but you can certainly cut them down somewhat, and you can take enough nutrients to make a difference. So your body, you don't have to understand it all. You just have to throw it in, ask God to bless it, and move on down the line. And Janet talked to a real nice guy the other day and said something like, we shouldn't be ashamed of talking about God. I think it's pretty obvious, my beliefs, because I hear that all the time. Well, I can tell you're a believer. Well, yeah, if you don't have faith. Have you noticed the people that have the most faith have the most peace? And if you're full of fear, you have chaos in your life. So, yeah, it's all good. Throw it in, ask God to bless it, and your body will bless it. But it's more about thinking about what you want rather than what you don't want. And that is the faith that comes in. Another thing, if you have sugar cravings, which is 80% of America, you need to detoxify. And of course that feeds the yeast that I mentioned earlier. What are other symptoms? Rashes, because it's trying to get the toxins out the skin.
Acne.
Oh, you're going to get personal with somebody out there.
I know. And how many people go take some sort of a drug for that?
Yeah, there's some research on when you take that drug, what it has a tendency to cause later. And I'm not anti-drug. I'm just real conservative about it.
That just basically means it can't come out through the correct channel that it's supposed to, which is the gastrointestinal tract.
Yeah, urinary and GI tract.
And instead it comes out through your skin. So you get pimples and rashes and
halitosis.
Oh yeah, bad breath. That's a bad one. Yes, nobody likes that. That's a very big sign actually of needing to detoxify. So when you're talking about that and you're saying all these things that are going on, what should someone do, or where should they start with detoxification? That's the thing. Everybody comes in and says, hey, I'm ready to clean out because it's springtime and they've not done anything else up to this point, but they are ready to clean out. Is that a wise choice to just start cleaning? Doctor?
I don't think so. I have literally seen people die because they got on the internet and found some great, grand, and glorious thing that's going to cure them, make them young, rich, good looking, and, feel 80 years younger. And I've seen them kill themselves. And it's like, I told one lady, I said, you're going to kill your husband. She said, well, I read it on the internet. She killed him. And it's like, it made me kind of upset because I told her not to. So don't believe everything you see. So no, you shouldn't start unless you have some pretty good information. And, I hear every day, well, I've researched it. Yeah, right. You read on the internet, but there's all kinds of horrible stuff on the internet. So please be careful as somebody with a little bit more experience.
We do have a product, though, that we recommend for people that want to just kind of get things going, get a bit more energy. And what it does is it offers key antioxidant glutathione, which Dr. Lewis is going to tell you all about glutathione.
A little bit, because that's all I know. I just throw it in
a liposomal liquid form. So for you that are not knowing what I'm talking about, glutathione is a big liver detoxifier, and in the liposomal form, it's in a fat-derived substance so that it can absorb easier into your cells. Your cells recognize it easier and can accept it, and it goes in and cleans that out. It also combines NAC, which if you've never had NAC is a very stinky little sulfur-like amino acid that actually goes in and thins mucus, but it actually cleans your liver as well during the wintertime, and even during this time of the year. It's a huge one to thin mucus and expel anything you have. So that coming up from the liver is a great thing. And then it also has the vitamin C in it. So it's in one liquid form, and you just do a big squirt of it. And I do it in water. Some people can't stand the knack, the way it tastes. So you put in a little bit of juice. We tell you like apple or grape juice. And it does give you a big shot of energy because it's cleaning up the liver. So can you explain a little bit about glutathione?
I think you just explained it all, actually.
Oh.
It's really not an amino acid technically, but it's kind of a combination of cysteine, glutamic acid, and glycine. And cysteine, as Janet said, N-acetyl cysteine is the best form of that. So what glutathione is, it's a very big antioxidant. I'm kind of repeating what Janet just said, but it's produced in the liver, and the largest stores of glutathione are in the liver. And what it does is help the liver detoxify the compounds that are harmful so you can excrete it through the bile. And those of you that's had a consultation with me, if your liver enzymes are not just almost picture perfect, I'll explain how the liver has to take these molecules and conjugate them or twist them out around into the safer form and squish it out through the bile. And then if you're constipated or have a belly full of yeast or bad bacteria, and you're not having those 3 trains a day like Janet is famous for saying, then those forms of, in this case, a safer estrogen goes back to the non-safe. It reabsorbs through the intestinal walls, and that's a major contributor to cancer. So having a clean, healthy liver is very, very important, and having glutathione in there is very, very important too. But I want to caution you. Once upon a time, there was this lady, and she was my age, and this is a few years back, and she was on this one product that was touting glutathione and liver health, and it was not a bad product. But she kind of got a little smart with me, and I said, okay, let's do your lab. Let's see how it works, because she says, oh, this is all you ever need. If somebody markets their product as, hey, this is all you need to be young, rich, and good looking, you need to run for the hills. And so we did this lab on this lady, and she was my age, and her lab looked horrible, and she was so embarrassed that one product that somebody had. Have you ever noticed some of these companies will take amateurs and get them excited so they'll go sell this product, but they don't really have the science or the understanding behind it? She was so embarrassed she never came back. And then there was another lady, exact same age as me, and she was a big proponent of this one company, and it's a good company, but it's certainly not complete. And I said, great, let's do your lab work. That one company didn't put it all together either. And the point is that it's really, really tough with all the different products we have. So don't think one size fits all. It's not that easy. But for glutathione, I take a shot of that almost every day. And it seems to protect the liver from alcohol-induced damage. But I think if you take a shot of it, that you really don't get that buzz. If you like to get that buzz from alcohol, hopefully that's in the proper context and not out on the road. But the deficiency of glutathione, it's pretty interesting. It'll affect the nervous system, and it can cause symptoms of lack of coordination, different mental disorders, and Lord, hadn't we had more than our share in America the last few years. Can cause tremors, difficulty maintaining balance. So maybe a dizzy blonde would fit into that. Oh, geez, blonde ladies, don't write me a letter or an email nowadays. But now here's this study. Now think about this. If this is true in HIV, how important could it be in other life when you're not that far down in the disease process? There's a study, and it was sponsored partly by the National Cancer Institute, found that people that had HIV disease had lower glutathione levels, had lower survival rate over a 3-year period than those whose glutathione levels were normal. Geez, I wonder what would happen if you raised your glutathione levels to where they were higher than normal. I'm telling you, this stuff works, and I take a shot of it about every day, almost. But it's glutathione, cysteine, glutamic acid, and glycine. But the N-acetyl, NAC, which is N-acetyl cysteine, is very, very important in that. And we take that by itself a lot of times just because it helps make glutathione. It's an incredible thing. So if you're fatigued, that'll help with the energy production. And it is a huge detoxifier because it boosts the liver.
Okay, well, very good. So that's something that anyone could do then and not harm themselves, basically, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. All right. I guess we will go on now to our questions, because one of them had to do with actually some of this detoxification stuff here. We have Maggie that was asking about headaches. Our question is, how does she keep from feeling like her head is going to crack open and need to peel her face off to let the itches out? Lifelong problem.
And that may be liver, because sometimes people that have liver issues complain of itching. And I don't really know the answer to that. If it's sinus problems, I'd try the Sinutrol, and I'd try the N-acetylcysteine or this liposomal
recharge.
Liposomal recharge. That's the glutathione. As far as I can tell, it's the most quick and effective. You can try that. Of course, me being a chiropractor, I always think, well, I wonder what a good adjustment and better nerve supply would take care of there. I've seen that take care of a lot of things.
Well, there's different types of headaches also, and when it's it's above the eye, that's usually a migraine, and that's usually liver related, so to speak, most of the time. Toxic chemicals, that type of thing.
Yeah, hormonal, possibly.
Yeah. At the back of the head, it's more like hypertension. And then stress is like the band around the head. So
that's most people.
High blood pressure or lack of magnesium. Magnesium is a huge one.
Or stress headaches because of accidents. I used to testify in court a lot for people that were in low-speed impacts, and it did a lot of damage to the neck. According to the American Medical Association, and lawyers love to get me on the stand because I could blow an insurance company's attorney away and make them turn red. And when I testified, almost all the time people got money because I could explain it. And 6 to 8 miles per hour can cause neck damage, and that can create headaches. And, it just goes on and on. That's why it pays to do the nutrition, so your body can function at a higher level.
But behind the eye, when it's gut, it's usually like gut-related stuff. So if you start...
liver and intestines, yeah.
Yeah, but liposomal recharge would be great for that, to help if you're having those type headaches.
If you wake up with a headache, it's because you're not eliminating and not having enough bowel movements almost all the time.
And then if you have a headache all over your whole head, like it's just all over, that's probably the church lady perfume, where you've sat close to someone and there's no way to escape it.
Yeah, God, I hate that.
The next question comes from Kelly M. And there's so many women opting to remove breast implants for health reasons. They're confused on how to detoxify after the surgery, like flushing the silicone from your body and lymph nodes, etc. So her question is, detoxing after surgeries in general would be beneficial too. So she wants to know about silicone specifically, and then about just detoxification from actual from going under anesthesia, which we see that a lot. So maybe talk about the silicone first.
Silicone. I don't know if your body ever detoxifies, and I've had a gob of patients, get their breast implants taken out.
I know that we had a patient one time, and I know this is kind of, well, it's probably very common. It's just something that did happen. She actually got to where she could not walk. She was in a wheelchair because the silicone, I guess because it was in a hard form, and it doesn't come out in the liquidy form that it went in, it caused her to not be able to walk, and it made her wheelchair bound because it settled in her knees. And I don't know if you guys out there have ever heard of colon hydrotherapy, but it's actually like an enema where you lay on a table and you expel everything through the colon in hopes of getting rid of a bunch of these toxins. Well, this lady went over there to do that, And in the session, she was passing large chunks of silicone from the breast implants.
You got to understand this is third hand too. I don't know how much you detoxify, and I'm not going to blame the breast implants, but I've seen a lot of women get them and then start having very, very bizarre symptoms within a few years that pretty much nobody could figure out. So that's why we push the nutrition.
Well, it's very hard because it turns into a different kind of material, I guess, where the body can't easily get rid of it. So it's very hard to say, hey, yeah, take this and that'll get rid of it, because all you could really do probably is just put things in and try to pull it out the best you could.
Hope the surgeon takes it out if the breast implant has ruptured. Hope they scrape enough of it out. Yeah, that's what I caulked around the commode the other day because it rocked a little bit with silicone. As far as surgery in general, many people do not detoxify real well, and what happens is they don't get rid of some of the things that's used for anesthesia, and they'll come in addle-headed even months later and say, well, I just can't remember anything. And I just tell them, well, if you can remember, you don't remember, you're probably very savable. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but I was trying to make them laugh. And that's really pretty common. After I had a lot of dental work done, my mind didn't function quite as well, but we knew to increase my body's ability to detoxify by taking a whole lot of the different things that I hope I'll get around to mentioning in a minute. But even at that, my dentist, I'd flinch, and she says, that hurt? I said, just keep going. It's fine. She says, nope, I'm not going to hurt you. I said, well, give me another shot of it. She said, I've given you enough to kill an elephant. I can't do any more than that. I said, well, it's because my liver detoxifies a lot faster than everybody else. So some of the things just in general to help you detox, chlorella, especially the cracked cell, niacin, but I'm not a huge fan of niacin, even though we sell it here, especially if you haven't had your liver enzymes checked. I don't suggest niacin, even though that can lower your cholesterol. Drinking lots of water, which we prefer reverse osmosis. The NAC that we talked about, N-acetylcysteine, sleeping. Most people are sleep deprived. Increasing the bowel movements, and far infrared sauna is an absolutely incredible thing to do. Lipoic acid, alpha lipoic and R lipoic, vitamin C. We have several different types, including liposomal. Upping your vitamin D levels and enzymes, not just digestive enzymes, which are important, and not just probiotics, which are incredibly important, but systemic enzymes. And that's the Sibzymes also that Janet gives me. So, Maggie, there's your answer again, I hope, for your issue. And just keep trucking it. And it's more important to have a good attitude and having faith than just throwing the things in. And be happy. Increase. There's a study the other day said the people that lived the longest were ones that talked to the most people. And I said, well, geez, I'll probably live forever. And, the people that were happy and found joy in the small things and quit talking negative about everything that comes along. And you've been around some people like that. We call them energy sucks or energy vampires. If people are that way and they're constant, run like hell. Get away from them.
Okay, there you have it.
Well, that's detoxing, is getting rid of toxic relationships.
There you go.
I got rid of one of those once.
I thought of a different product as well while you were talking about all those.
My toxic relationship I got rid of, and my allergies and headaches and pain in the rear went away.
Well, this one's in a bottle.
Well, I resorted to that when I was in that relationship, but it didn't work.
How we quickly deteriorate around here.
She loves it. She does.
You were mentioning now. See, I don't even know what you said. You were mentioning different ingredients like zinc and NAC and selenium and chlorella, cilantro, that sort of thing to help detoxify.
Yeah.
There's a product that we have that has all of that in there. If you're writing all this down and you're going, he just named off a whole bunch of things, and what am I supposed to do? Swallow all of this? But there's a product called HM Complex that we use for detoxification, and it's really great at heavy metal detoxification.
Or you can just come by the house. Janet puts a lot of cilantro in her guacamole.
And that's all I ever make. It's just guacamole, so I hope you're not very hungry. But that is something I actually take every night because it does pull off the nasty toxins like from chemicals and
the heavy metal. Cilantro is famous for attaching to that.
It just makes you sleep better because you're not so toxic.
I'll tell you how powerful it is. You know, I've got a daughter that says she can't eat tuna fish, and it's because of the heavy metals in tuna fish. And I'd give her a couple of capsules of cilantro, and I said, here, take these and then eat tuna fish. She didn't break out at all because the cilantro would help to absorb the mercury.
So I guess the Hispanics probably really don't have that much toxic stuff because they eat a lot of cilantro.
Yeah, and then they take a nap in the middle of the afternoon, so sleep's also a very good thing too.
Oh.
And then they have something called mucho frio cerveza. So that's a good thing. If you don't speak Spanish, don't worry about it.
He doesn't really either, so no worries there. Anyway, we have another question.
Sorry, folks.
We had a listener that wanted to find out about the lab panels again because I guess I didn't explain it very well when I explained it in the last podcast about how to order. When we're talking about all these different things you can do, we don't like guessing. So if you're new to the show and you don't really know what we do, basically we run very low-cost lab work, and we run it across the United States so that we're not guessing at what's going on with your health. That being said, it is on our website, and we had one person that saw the lab panels on the website, and then they showed up at the Quest location without a lab order. Quest will not draw the lab unless you have purchased the lab first. We have the special pricing online, so you'll need to pick out a panel, and then you want one of the ones that have the GWH in them, and pay for it, and then print the order out and carry it into your local Quest location, because that's a contract that Dr. Lewis has with Quest. It's not a contract that just anybody can walk in and get that special price. And the panel that we're recommending today for those of you that are just trying to find out if you're toxic and just want to see some basic numbers, which we always look at your CBC to see, if you've got any kind of viruses going on, if everything looks okay there, if you got any kind of yeast parasitic activity.
White blood cell count goes down, which we see all the time, so low immune system. If it's yeast, then your eosinophils will go up. We look at these things.
You'd be very toxic from that. And also a metabolic panel because...
liver enzymes.
Right. And anytime you have those involved, then it usually suppresses thyroid function like Dr. Lewis was talking about. So today we're recommending our basic health check with Dr. Lewis's consultation to go over it. It's $138, so you really can't beat that because that is actually 6 different panels of lab. And then you're not guessing anymore at what's going on with your health. So to answer the question, make sure you buy it first before you show up at the lab.
Or call us if you're confused about what you really want. You do have a lot of different options.
And the last question we have is from Eddie, and we'll make this quick because we're running out of time, but he's wanting to know what would be good to take for joints like knees, wrists, and support repair. And we're pretty excited about this product because we've had a lot of people waiting for it for a long time, and it's just now here.
Yeah, it's called collagen, and it helps to generate collagen. And we've used collagen and hyaluronic acid before with great success, but this is a much more advanced, much more absorbable one, where it has collagen hydrolysate, and then it has hyaluronic acid extract.
And it has the type 1 and 2,
and the mucopolysaccharides, which that helps with ligaments, fascial tissue. Ladies, that it would mean kind of keep the wrinkles away and maybe make them less deep. The ones you have, that's very, very possible. But the mucopolysaccharides are actually the glue that kind of holds all that together, has them stretch and flex and bend and maintain their resilience, which means less wrinkles.
So in Eddie's case, he's looking for joints, knees, and wrists and support repair.
That's awesome.
The type 2 is what he would need for that. So you're actually getting to look younger, and you're actually getting out of pain. So it's and a one-stop product for both things.
Yeah, and Jonathan, you can be like me, 63 that feels 36. So you really can achieve that. You just have to put the work in, and it's worth it.
And it is a powder, so you just put a scoop of it in your drink and just enjoy, and then you'll be young, rich, and can move around really, really great. But is there anything else you want to talk to us briefly about detoxification before we go?
Yeah, the best way to get started is find somebody who knows something about it and follow their lead. It's easier to do it under the authority of somebody who knows what they're talking about than just bumbling around and trying it yourself and making too many mistakes. So, go where your heart leads you, and we hope you've learned something, and God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
And if you find someone else that might need to know about this podcast, please share it with them. Take care.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.